So this producer got really pissed. She got really mad at me. She complained all the way to my boss, escalated. I got called into the boss's office. I actually cried.
But I over-explain when I take MC, right? Not
Me
because
too.
I feel bad that my colleague has to take over me, but it's because I think my boss thinks that I'm lying.
Especially in meetings where you need to cut in, right?
Hey, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry to cut in.
What's a better way to do that? Oi!
Yeah.
I got something to say.
Welcome to another episode of Men Explain, where we break down the differences between how men and women think. I'm Sonia.
I'm Avery, and we are gonna see whether or not we're able to talk today about people apologizing too much.
I don't know if you apologize too much. I don't think so. I feel like I haven't really heard you say sorry, have you?
Hey, I do. I apologize,
Just
but
poking the fire now.
but we've got a guest here, two people who have been in the corporate world for quite some time, but somebody who I know apologizes too much. Kwasi.
So, we just started.
But hi, Nick. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes.
Okay.
Feels very
valued right now.
Yeah.
No, but I honestly feel today's topic is so relatable, right? Because when we apologize, sometimes it's for different reasons. Are we apologizing before we're even doing anything?
But sometimes it's not just about over-apologizing, it's about over-explaining as well. And I feel like there are a lot of times where, people over-explain thinking like, oh, I need to get my point across. And for men and women, it is two completely different things that happen there.
Or is it? We're going to break it down right now.
So let's start by asking you guys this question. How long have you guys been in the corporate world? Let's start with Siri.
Okay, so I started working 5 years ago. Actually, I was just 20 when I first stepped out to this whole corporate scene. And I mainly do marketing, so influencer and social media marketing. And a lot of my colleagues at that time, at 20, was like maybe even like 7-8 years into this like corporate scene already. So at that point, I felt like, oh, I got so much to learn,
Right.
For me, about 11 years. Yeah.
Wow.
The last 6 years I've been in a MNC in an advertising agency. So that is like really corporate.
But you've definitely learned a lot in the 11 years that you've been there.
I think the last 6 years especially were very eye-opening because I work with global teams now. So then you see different working cultures when you work with teams from different countries. So it's quite interesting lah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, right? Because when it comes to over-apologizing or apologizing, I just wonder whether it's primarily because we're in Asia.
A bit.
Yes.
Do you think so? Because I realize, since we all worked in, I'm assuming, even though you work with the global teams, but you're based in Asia, I don't know whether that's one of the biggest factors.
Yeah, I think because we are inherently focused on being polite, I think. So a lot of times before you even say something, right, or if you have a thought to share, hey, sorry, but
Yes, all the time.
sorry to
that
cut
all the
in,
time.
but actually you're not saying anything that
Why are
is-
you apologizing?
Yeah, why are you
for?
apologizing at the start, right?
I think especially earlier in my
In your
career when I was
career.
a bit more junior, then I did that quite a lot lah.
So then do you guys think that because men and women both apologize, but do you think there's a difference when it comes to being judged in the workplace as a man or a woman?
100%.
Oh, definitely.
As a man, I can firmly say that one thing that always scares me is, number one, is the fact that whenever I express my emotions, am I seen as somebody who is either too emotional or I'm too reactive? And secondly, right, if I don't perform in a certain way, right, I'm not seen as like a leader. I'm seen as like a follower.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I speak for all women in general, but there's definitely a fear of being overlooked, of also not being taken seriously to some extent. But this is just a blanket statement. I don't know how you feel about it.
Women get judged more than men at a workplace for their dressing. So sometimes, like at the start, earlier on in my career, right, I tend to dress older. So for people to like, because
Take me more seriously.
take me more seriously.
Yes.
Yeah, because like there was once actually I dressed casually to work. Immediately before introducing myself, oh yeah, you're an intern here, right?
So you had to change the game a little
Yeah,
bit.
and like as I go along my career, so I realized promotions come and go as well. So like I tend to dress according to like my role and my rank at a workplace. Yeah.
Do you think that over-apologizing comes with a lack of confidence as well?
Definitely. At the start, I used to think everyone else was right, like always right.
Yeah.
Because like I mentioned just now, they have like 10 years of experience. Who am I? Who am I to like say that, oh, my idea is is the way to go. So I always like apologize, even for like the little things at work.
I think it also comes, and it's not just about the kind of like act of saying sorry, but even just the way you form or bring your opinions across, right?
Correct.
Early in your career, together with the apologizing, I think that lack of confidence also leads to you sharing your thoughts as questions rather than statements.
Yep.
So it's like, actually, do you all think that XYZ rather than XYZ?
Yes.
So do you guys think that you have learned to kind of adjust the way that you speak, kind of bring your point across in the workspace?
100%. So instead of apologizing now, right,
Yep.
I say thank you. So for example, if I forget to send out a meeting invite, for example, this person reminds me, instead of saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry for like, missing out on this invite, I would say, thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it.
Corporate slang.
Let's circle back.
Let's circle back.
Okay, let's circle back.
I think the other thing also is that last time what I used to believe is that, if we don't know, we escalate it to someone.
There's
then,
always someone to solve
yeah,
the
correct.
problem.
Then it reached the point where I was like, hey, no, there's nobody to...
Oh my gosh,
the
yeah.
answer is in this meeting, but like someone needs to come out with it lah. Then you start to kind of like be more task-oriented. Okay, we go and solve the problem rather than like, how can I say this? Cannot...
I feel like both of you, and actually all of us, have worked enough to have seen a change in ourselves from when we started. Confidence aside, which is a major one, do you feel like there's been major changes since you first stepped into the workforce and now? I think
Yes.
more so for you, right? Because you've been working longer.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
Mature and experienced.
I think it's a generational thing also. Gen Z is quite unhinged.
Oh.
You are quite the exception.
You're giving me millennial vibes.
That's what they all say.
There's some of my younger colleagues, right? They would just say, which I appreciate also, because cut to the chase, get to the point. Like,
But I always believe that there is a time and place for everything.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, instead of like, splitting into like, oh, Gen Zs always do this, I think like it's about individually, like how you react to things and like how you react in like certain situations.
But I think that the older generation in general, they came up in the workforce in a time where things were more hierarchical, like especially in Singapore and in Asia. Whereas now, I feel like also because of the rise of startup culture, all the tech companies that have brought this culture into like the front of the corporate world, right? Then people are just more like casual, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Do you think that because of your exposure, I guess I'm not sure whether it's relevant to both or mainly you, because your upper management would have been like the older generation, and then you kind of see how they work, and I don't know whether you absorb a little bit of that and also hand it down.
Yeah. I think it's a bit of both. So I've worked with like older bosses, but what I would say is that what has been quite consistent, also because of the nature of the work that I do, like advertising, they know that they need to keep current. So like all the kind of senior management that I worked with, they know that like even though I might not be, scrolling TikTok in my free time, they need to know about TikTok. They need to know about culture, about trends and all that. So I feel like they have their own ingrained like habits, but they actively try to like work around them and be adaptable.
Right.
Yeah. So then I try to do that also, because I think that that's quite a good way to navigate across different generations.
I think for us, like for Sons and I, because our jobs are a little bit different, right? Our main form and our main source of interaction is with our radio partners. Very rarely do we actually go up that line of
It's not so corporate. It doesn't
Correct.
feel so structured and corporate.
correct.
Yeah.
But the question is, obviously we still work with a lot of people. We still work with a lot of clients and everything. Do you still find yourself apologizing to people?
I think I don't apologize, but I seek assurance in other ways. Sometimes I find myself going like, hey, so how was the event? Like, how did you find it? Previously, I think I was insecure, like, or I didn't really have much confidence. I'd be like, sorry, can I check? Do you think I did okay just now? You know what I mean? Like, you just kind of seek that.
Yep.
And I guess it stems from a place of fear, in a way. Fear of not being good enough or not having done enough for this event. I don't know if you've ever felt that way.
No, 100%.
Especially in the earlier stage when you hosted your first few events.
It's I always try
clients.
my best to do a little bit more than like they
Because
ask
we're
me to.
overcompensating.
Correct. Right. My fear is always that, if I just do the bare minimum, you're not gonna wouldn't want to work with me again. And then if like something bad goes wrong, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, and they go, it's not your fault.
No, see, here's the thing, right? Because especially for Avery and I think to some extent you guys as well, a lot of our self-worth is tied to our job and or the amount of jobs we get or the kind of direct praise that you get, you know, because even on social media and all that, you will see, okay, people are commenting good stuff about you. I'm like, oh, I feel good about this video. It's so closely tied to our self-worth that when something goes wrong, I feel like it's my fault.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think that's gender specific.
So this is something that I'm gonna bring back, right, to everybody here. Do you think that this apologeticness inside all of us, right, actually translates to our personal life as well?
Oh, 100%. I think at the start of my career, right, I keep apologizing. Actually, you can ask Q even. Like when I first started Code Red, I apologize almost like every
All the
hour.
time.
And like,
do you remember what you're
it
apologizing
was
for?
for the very little things. And it's not because like, oh, I really feel like, oh, it's my fault. But I think it becomes a habit over time.
Nick, do you find that, you know, the way that you've been at work has translated?
Not
Or were you
really.
of to draw that line?
Yeah, I think I was able to draw that
Right.
line. There were some places that I worked at where it was very clear that you are the lowest life form in this office kind of energy lah. So then in that setting, then you naturally will be like, okay lah, suck it up and I just apologize. I think NS played a very big part in that also.
Shaping you.
Yeah.
Like when you are in BMT and then you are
You
really
are the
outright
lowest
told
life
you
form.
are the lowest life form. So then you just kind of carry that mindset into work. But I see it as like, oh, when like I'm off work, then I book out already. Yeah. So I think I was able to kind of like
Compartmentalize.
compartmentalize.
Actually, one thing that I noticed that I over-apologize a lot for, even now, is taking MC.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys
Oh my God.
feel the same.
Yes.
And sometimes when you fall sick, it's not really your fault. Or
Yep.
But I don't know whether it's because for us on radio, on air, one day can seem like 1 week. And if I'm not on air for like 2 days, listeners are like, what happened to her?
Yeah, whole country know that you sick.
But actually, I'm
Sonia
like,
got fever.
yeah, but I'm thinking to myself, actually, it's just 2 days. 2 days is normal. 2 days MC is normal. Why am I apologizing for falling sick? But I really go like, I'm so sorry, but I caught this. I'm really sorry.
Right.
Like, I just feel bad in
Right,
general.
right.
I think it's because you feel like there's the inherent sense that you feel like you let people down. So maybe in your setting, it would be like Joachim. Like, oh, you need to like double up and like carry the show yourself. And then there are all the listeners that listen to you regularly that will be like, hey, where is Sonia?
But you know, there's some people who don't feel bad about this at all, right?
Oh yeah. I think it's become a lot more normalized now that if you sick, you sick.
God, I think that's fair. I mean, if you can't control when you fall sick, right? So I think when it comes to this kind of thing, being apologetic is like, you know, it's not an issue.
But I over-explain when I take MC, right? Not
Me
because
too.
like, you know, I feel bad that my colleague has to take over me, but it's because I think my boss thinks that I'm lying.
Oh.
Okay, so
So you
where
go
does
in
that
detail.
stem from?
Yeah.
Because it stems from the people who
talking,
abuse it.
Yes, correct.
What do you mean by you over-explain? Like you like
I
tell
would
them all
say-
your symptoms.
Yes, no, I will literally
lao
list
sai
like, I
ah,
lao
I cannot-
wait, hold
Hold
on.
on. Some people even post the picture of like
the lao sai.
Correct.
MC.
No, Nay. There was once I literally like, okay, I explained to my boss why am I not coming in today because I did this yesterday.
Yeah.
And like I still posted an IGS. Saying like, oh, so sick, you know what I mean? Because like, no, because my boss is always looking, and like in my previous workplace, right, my boss has never once told me get well soon.
Ah, okay.
Every time I say sorry, I'm sick because of blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I think this over-explaining thing is not just about MCs, right? Do you think that there's a space in which men or women over-explain in the workspace? And maybe it could be because you're too new, right? And you feel like you have to explain every point, or that you're more senior and you feel like I can explain this to all my juniors so that you understand it.
As you mature in the workplace and in life, and even in the work that we do, you realize that the more words you use, the more people tune out.
Yeah.
Like you're using a lot of unnecessary words to try and explain yourself, right? When actually it can be just done in one sentence. And that definitely comes from a place of insecurity.
Yeah. I think a
That's
lot of times it's also because like you want the person that you're explaining to understand how you feel.
Yeah.
But what is more effective is you should explain it in a way like so that they get the information that they want, not what you want them to know.
Actually, I feel like for men, like I mean, from all the men that I've worked with in my previous workplaces, right, they are more emotionally detached compared to women in a workplace, and I feel like that is why women tend to over-explain at work because, like, you know, we want to consider their feelings, etc., etc. But for men, it's direct because, like, you know, I mean, work is work.
How do you deal with somebody, right, who over-explains and doesn't realize that they're just damn lost or and they keep explaining and explaining and explaining?
I always cut the people off.
Even if they're your boss?
Oh no, boss cannot lah.
So you zone out.
Boss, I just wait lah.
You just zone out and wait.
As in, to me, that's the way that they communicate lor. So then I just need to like adjust. I feel like there is a lot of give and take lah. And when it's your boss, then...
Okay, so on that note, you feel like you have adjusted yourself somewhat to fit certain things in your workplace.
Yeah. Every workplace that I've been in, and nearly every single day, I feel like you need to be adaptable to communicate with different people's communication styles.
Correct.
If it reaches a point where you feel like it's a deal breaker, then you leave lah. So it's different people have different tolerance levels.
That's why people always leave because of the people, not
Yeah.
because of the job.
Yeah, no, I actually see a difference when like my female boss is managing me versus my male boss managing me. Like I have to change the way I speak to them. So for example, for female, I can, during meetings, I can joke around with her a little bit. But for the male boss, I have to just be direct and quick. Meetings cannot be over 30 minutes.
So, Nic, you've been in the workforce for a long time now, right? Do you think that there's ever been a time where you've had to, tone yourself down a little bit so you don't seem too harsh on like your younger colleagues, the interns or females even?
Females, no. Like I am a feminist. I believe in equality.
Okay.
So I will communicate the same whether you are a guy or girl lah.
Okay.
But in terms of like demographic and then your position, how junior, how senior, then for sure I adjust accordingly. Because to me, I'm very outcome driven. I don't believe in like, venting or like taking it out on people lah. So I'm always kind of like, okay, how do we fix? So if I feel like, you are not in a position to work with me to fix, then I won't bother to like spend too long communicating lah. Which some people might take it as like, oh no, like I'm being cut out of this thing. But yeah.
Actually, I definitely learned a lot. Okay, this was from my early days when, even though we're in a media position, we still have to manage people. We still have to work upwards. There's a lot of people above us, right? So this was in the first few years of me being a full-timer. So there was a lady, she's a producer back then, okay, and we had to do a lot of live streams. Okay. So there was several occasions where this lady's underling was late all the time. And on several occasions there were guests. So I felt like it was a little bit unprofessional that in the middle of our interview, then this person walk in to set up the camera, then a bit, I don't know, it just doesn't look cool on us, right? Yeah. Me not knowing better in terms of the corporate world and how to navigate it, I texted the group chat. Okay, so I called them out in the group chat, which I didn't think was a bad thing because I didn't say like you guys suck. I just said, hey guys, do you think it's okay that next time for live streams we just try and make sure that everyone is on time? But I inevitably pissed them off because I am punching above my weight, right? I'm this newbie, just joined like 1 year, and I anyhow go and say in the chat with all the bosses in there. So this producer got really pissed. She got really mad at me. She complained all the way to my boss, escalated. I got called into the boss's office. I actually cried. I remember this so clearly. But I don't think that my boss was directing it at me eventually. She was just trying to tell me, she didn't scold me. Just
How
to
to
be,
manage
just,
lah.
Yeah, she just said, I know that you're new. I know that you're full of fire and passion for this job. But you need to find a different way to communicate this without calling this senior producer out in the chat because she's not happy. Then I realized that at the end of the day, we did still exist in a world where hierarchy did matter.
Yep.
So after that incident, right, I felt really down about it for a while because I felt like I really messed up at the workplace and that now there's going to be a few people that really dislike me and it affected my confidence. After which, I was just like, oh man, maybe I should just shut up. So when you meet with a situation like that, you're like, you pull back eventually. It affects your confidence.
Yeah.
It makes you a bit more meek. And if it's a repetitive sort of behavior, then you might just end up being like a mouse.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually tie my self-worth. I used to tie my self-worth to whatever happened at the workplace. Yeah. So like ultimately at one point my confidence was like so low that like I had to see a therapist for it.
Is it because you always feel like you're doing something
because
wrong?
I always feel so small. And I always believe that your environment shapes you to who you are. So ultimately, I became very closed off and like my confidence was really, really low. So I don't even speak up at meetings anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that would also reduce your credibility as a person in the workspace because it's like, I feel small, I don't want to talk. And then they're going to be like, who's this person that's not,
Yeah.
you know?
Then do you feel like you are not going to get promoted?
Yeah,
Or-
no, exactly.
Or
yeah.
you don't get
It
promoted.
becomes this
Yep.
vicious cycle,
Correct.
right?
Especially if like you are supposed to be a specialist or subject matter expert at something, but then you are not confident.
Correct.
So then other people have to weigh in with their opinions on your behalf. Then I think that there's a element of like you become invisible. Lor.
But
Correct.
that's why some people, I don't speak for all companies, but I do hear this from my friends. They always feel like the most undeserving people get promoted.
It's
you
quite
could be-
performative.
yeah.
lah.
Exactly.
Correct,
so you could be the
correct.
quietest person, but you're the
Yeah.
best at that job.
Correct.
But the person that's like very dramatic and like talking all the time,
Right.
that person gets promoted.
Like even my boss tells me now that it's really all about the optics. Like you have to always showcase your work and like you have to, have a presence at work. Yeah, essentially.
Well, it's the same thing when it comes down to appraisal season, right? My boss did tell me before, can you write more stuff in your appraisal? Because, oh my gosh, I'm so bad at all this admin stuff, right? I'm like, how about I already wrote? She said, yeah, I know you stated point form, but other people are writing paragraphs. I'm like, for real, people are writing paragraphs?
So question, to you especially as well, because she apologizes all the time, right? Do you think that women can break that habit when it comes to apologizing?
No, of course. I think all habits can be stopped. Like eventually, if you like want to put your mind to it, right? Like so, I think first step is to be aware, like self-aware of like that you are over apologizing at certain situations. So that's one. And then when you catch yourself, okay, then let's not do it again. I think it's more of like being aware, like or like think before you speak, lah.
As radio DJs as well, we have this thing called crutch words.
Yeah.
And you don't realize, okay, as presenters also, you guys are in this industry, there are people who overuse crutch words.
Like,
Like is one of them, and then is
Yeah,
another.
that's me. That's me.
Mine's all right. Mine's
Right.
all right. I go like all right. So like already or all right. Those are my
So
crutch
now
words.
you notice it. Do
Yeah.
you cut down on that?
I
Just
do,
like a
I
bad
do.
habit?
But I think it's a little bit different, right? Because again, this is like a job. So when we go on air, you're more aware of what you speak. You're more aware of what you say. But when it comes to like over apologizing, over explaining,
It's subconscious.
it's subconscious. And
Yeah.
so once you've been doing this the whole time, it's like, I'm sorry. Oh no, I've apologized again.
Because I only noticing it now.
Yeah. So Nick, do you think that you've seen your female colleagues apologize a lot?
I think so, but I think it's also because sorry is 100% a crutch word also.
It is.
It just becomes like a habit, you know?
Especially in meetings where you need to cut in, right?
Hey, sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry.
Sorry to cut in.
What's a better way to do that? Oi!
Yeah.
I got something to say.
You're immediately fired, okay?
Yeah, immediate.
On Teams, you can put up your hand.
Yeah, like raise hand, the emoji.
Yeah.
You know, I actually got called out for over apologizing by my boss, right? She actually set aside a 15 minutes meeting and asked me like, is everything okay? Why do you keep apologizing? Yeah. And then because at that point I was also working towards a promotion at a workplace, and she said that this will not be beneficial. Like, yeah.
So I think it's good that you have a boss to do that for you, because when do you actually know? Like, when is it really okay to say, I'm sorry in a workspace? And
When you
is
did something wrong.
right? Or when is it
When
really
you've done
okay
something
to
wrong.
over-explain? Like, again, where is the line?
Okay, first of all, I really believe that more can be done for gender equality in the workplace. Because 100% there are certain areas where women are disadvantaged. It's either you over-explain or you over-apologize, and then people think that you are insecure, unconfident, or emotional. Or if you over-correct, then people think that, you are intimidating, you are like, not a nice person and all that lah. So it's quite tough I feel like it's quite tough for a female to navigate that balance. But I do think that those who are able to manage that balance well, right, they really thrive. Because my favorite bosses and mentors, right, have all been like women.
But let me say this on the flip side, right? Do you think that there's a space where it's a bit, I would say, unfair to men when they try and like say stuff, right? And then people go, you're just mansplaining.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Literally in a meeting, this male boss just got promoted. He started explaining on like the different marketing terms and everything, right? My colleague texted me on luck. Damn it, he's mansplaining again.
Did you think he was?
But I didn't think that he was mansplaining. But I think because everyone has this idea when a man over explain
Right.
something, it's immediately like mansplaining. You know what I mean?
It's tough lah. I think
Right.
to
You feel
to
misunderstood.
Yeah. So
Oh, you feel
I-
misunderstood.
So I have become also quite self-aware that depending on the audience who I'm talking to, right, and it's not necessarily to like to women, but like even to more junior folks, then I try to always be sure that the information that I'm providing is information that is needed or asked for.
So you think mansplaining happens when a guy is over-explaining?
It stems from over-explaining.
Like
why
things
why
that
you
That's
already know.
where the term came
why
from.
are you
right?
telling me this? And why do you assume that I not know this?
But one thing I realized is that when a female over-explain, like male in the workplace don't like it too.
Oh.
Like they think that, oh, we are explaining because they don't know.
So I guess it really just works both ways.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody likes over-explaining. We're breaking it down.
Nobody likes
it.
listening to over-explaining
Yeah.
as well. What I'm getting from this whole conversation is that at the end of the day, regardless of gender, it really stems from confidence and insecurity. The way that we act, the way that we explain, the way that we apologize, we have to work on it from within, right? So any last takeaways from all your years of experience of both working as a manager and also as someone who's been managed?
I think don't think so much.
Don't
Sometime-
overthink.
Yeah, don't overthink. Sometimes it's not that deep.
I think for me, it's to be adaptable. I feel like we are constantly being told by social media, like your workplace should be this, your workplace should be that, you know, your interactions with people should be like a certain way, but it's never so straightforward or one size fit all. And if you really want to like thrive at the workplace, you need to be able to adapt to different people lah. So some people might need a bit more explanation. Some people might be like more used to a direct communication style. So yeah.
I think managers can also help to shape people. a bit
Empower
more.
your-
Oh, yeah.
Empower your folks. Yeah.
I learned that Sonia needs to stop apologizing so much.
Hey!
Thank you guys so much for joining us, Nic and Siyu. I really hope that you guys had fun on this episode of Men Explain.
Definitely.
Make sure you go and catch them on You Got Watch, The Hot Pot,
Hot Pot.
as well as Code Red.
You got
Why
watch
you
or not?
always have that
What is
voice?
this voice?
I know.
I don't know. Whenever
that voice.
I'm over-explaining it.
Yeah, okay. Now he's overly conscious about it. Yeah. But regardless of what show you enjoy, whatever platform, we're available everywhere, right?
Yes,
Ace?
yeah. Make sure you catch us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at itsclarity.co, and for them, it's at You Got Watch.
And don't forget to tune in to us if you're listening on podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Me Listen. And we'll catch you next time.
See ya. Oh, the Siyu.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, it's a
harassment.
Siyu pun for Siyu.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no.
Siyu.
HR.
It's like your LinkedIn profile. I'm very sus of people who have extensive LinkedIn.
Hey, don't let that in.
Sorry.
Because
I-
that's
I-
sorry.
LinkedIn is in my bookmarks, you know.
Yeah, I apologize again. What's going on?
It's like his social media.
Yeah, I scroll LinkedIn down there.
That's with any bad habit, right?
Right,
like if
right.
you're constantly shaking your leg and
Yeah.
no one
Oh,
tells you.
That's me just now. I was just shaking.
And no, I wasn't directed. I can't see from here. Yeah.
No, but I can't.
Hey, voila, first you say my LinkedIn, then now you say, see.
We're gonna have no more guests joining us on the show already. I would have chased them away.